Hello. It's New Year's Day. I went out in town last night. It was quite interesting. Murder mystery night, but it's time to get back to the more serious business. So both the headlamps are pretty close. Insert of indicators and side lights to do, but that's about it. Have to decide exactly where I want them. I've discounted putting a third unit in here. I just didn't like what it looked. It didn't look right. So basically, I'm going to stick mainly with the 4 headlamps. If we need to stick an extra fog or a driving lamp in, I can quite easily dot it. Kind of sink one in here if I need to. And even make a secondary Perspex cover for it. But whether we do or we don't need to make that decision yet. So that's pretty much kind of like the aggressive look. So the last 3 or 4 days, mainly working on the new gills for the wheel arches. So after reading some of the aero books, I pretty much realised that by raising the airstream above the incoming air, then the boundary layer becomes smaller than if you just basically cut a hole in the bodywork to allow the air to exit up. If you cut the hole, then effectively what happens is the boundary layer is quite small beforehand, and as soon as it gets the high pressure air coming out, the boundary layer then gets quite large. If you introduce the air at close to the angle, then the boundary layer should technically be smaller. The smaller and tighter the boundary layer of the body, then the more chance you have of creating lower drag. Smaller boundary, lower drag. So it kind of explains why they have more of the raised sections here. It also elevates more of the air from there. It will technically create a bit of a suction as well, but generally so much pressure created in the wheel arch area that I don't think there may be much vacuum in there. So that's the. I've tried to make them to sympathetic to headlamps. So we've curved the headlamps round, and it kind of curves that way, and kind of curves that way. Not by much, but enough to make them. You see by the black tape lines, kind of morph from the headlamps. This side is Barry's still working on. So you can see it's still rough at the moment, but it's way better than it was yesterday. But you get the effect now. There you go. One more piece in the puzzle. Model.